I think we met for the first time in the fall of 1964, almost 53 years ago. I was at the University of Chicago. He was very awkward. His name was Don. I was going on a one-day canoe trip with some friends, and I think everybody invited a boy, and I invited him for some reason. And we had a relationship from then until we were supposed to get married in 1967 in the fall. So about 2 years. One time I had parted with him on the campus, and a friend of mine saw him walking away and said, "Ooh, that's your boyfriend?" But he was really handsome. He was just awkward and shy, and so she didn't notice that he was handsome. I had a fellowship to spend the summer in Taiwan. I decided I was going to learn Chinese and have a career in China studies. And for Don that summer, he got more into communal living and LSD and radical politics. He was very anti-Vietnam War, and he got involved in protests. And I wasn't that radical at the time, although subsequently I decided I was against the war. My mother lived in New York, and she had agreed to hold the wedding in her apartment. So he came to her New York apartment, and we took a walk, and his sister introduced him to some woman or girl that she thought was wonderful the night before. And he decided he fell in love with her the night before he was supposed to come to get married to me. His sister wasn't mentally healthy, and I think possibly she didn't really want him to get married because they were very close. And later she was in and out of a mental institution. So I said, I think we better sit down and talk about this wedding. So I know we sat down at 3 o'clock in the lobby of my mother's building in New York, and we talked till 3 in the morning. I don't know how it took that long. At the very end I said, well, I'll get married if you want to. And I said, do you want to? And he said, no. So that was the end of it. It took me a long time to get over him, though. And I remember saying to somebody during that first year, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to find a boyfriend who has such interesting problems as Don does. It hadn't occurred to me that that was kind of a silly thing to be looking for. I read about China. I started to learn Chinese at Columbia. And the end of the year, I got into an affair with my boss at the place where I was working. That was all a lot of different ways of getting over it. I applied to various other graduate schools, and the one I chose was Stanford. So I've had a really good career, and I probably wouldn't have had any career with a husband taking LSD when I wanted to have a middle-class life. I certainly did the right thing, or I didn't have a choice. He's the one that didn't want to get married, but I'm glad he didn't.